Apparently, there are no enemies here. I look around, there are indeed no enemies here. Hey, it's Kevin from the Big Board. I am not the CEO of the Big Board, nor am I the dictator of the Big Board, but I am president for life. Welcome to No Enemies Here, your go-to place for news, video, and information about our hobby. Take care.
Send your votes down below. Vote for your favorite designer, publisher, developer, unboxer, playthrougher, reviewer. You know what I'm saying? This ends the first week of December. We shall have our first No Enemies Here Grognard of the Year. So my girlfriend says, so when does it end, Dan? The first week of December? What is it? The first? The second? The third? What are you, stupid? So you know what? Let's end it December 1st. It's a Saturday. Thank you. Last video, I met with Herman Lutman. Herman Lutman gave me a game. Mets. He said give it away. Well, I asked for a skill testing question. What is Herman Lutman's dog's name? Well, since Herman Lutman is German, Schnitzel is the dog's name. So, only two people got Schnitzel. John Pitoric, John, I hope I didn't massacre your name, and Sam LaSala. I'm going to fold these papers. Obviously, I'm folding these papers. I'm putting it into my handy-dandy hat. I'm giving it a little shake. I'm shaking it around. I'm not even looking. I'm going to pick one name, and that's going to be it. So, the name is Sam LaSala. Sam, email me at noenemieshere@videotron.ca. Give me your address, and I'll send you that ASAP. Thanks. GMT. Next War, Vietnam. Next War, Vietnam is the 5th game in the Next War series. This is a game designed by Mitchell Land. The original system design is Gene Billingsley. The time scale is 3.5 days per turn. The map scale is 7.5 miles per hex. Unit scale, division, brigade, and battalions. This is a 2-player game. Complexity for the standard game is medium, for the advanced game is high. Solitaire suitability is high. Hunt for Blackbeard, a simulation of the true events of 1718. This is a game designed by Valko Runke. This is a 2-player game and playtime is 45 minutes. And what we get with this game is an 11 by 17 inch mounted map board, 2 8.5 by 11 inch player mats, 2 player aid sheets, 3 panel screens, 2 8.5 by 24 inch 3 panel screens, 48 1 by 1.5 inch tiles, a full and a half sheet of markers, 38mm wooden cubes, 16 wooden pieces and pawns, 8 dice, rules of play booklet, and a background booklet. Solitaire suitability is low. Complexity is medium. Compass Games, a new direction in gaming. Bar-Lev, the 1973 Arab-Israeli War, Deluxe 3rd Edition. A game designed by Chris Fawcett. Complexity is 6 out of 10. Solitaire suitability is 7 out of 10. There are no hidden units. The time scale, 1 day per turn. The map scale is 3 to 6 kilometers per hex. Unit scale is battalion and company. This is 1 to 4 player game, best played with 2. Playing time is 5 to 10 hours for 1 map scenario, 12 plus hours for the full 2 map game. What we get with this game is 2 map sheets of 22 by 34 inch each, 5 counter sheets of 9/16 inch, rule booklet, 4 player aid cards, 4 air tasking displays, 1 10-sided die, and here we go, a box and a lid. The deluxe edition is designed by Chris Fawcett. The GDW edition designed Frank Chadwick. This was the 1977 edition, published by Compass Games. The Conquistadors, the Spanish conquest of the Americas, 1518 to 1548. The Conquistadors is playable by 1 to 5 players with an introductory basic game, a more involved standard game, and some optional rules. While the normal game system requires 2 or more players, solitaire play is enabled by a special solitaire module. Complexity is low to medium, 3, 4, and 5 out of 10. That means basic, standard, plus optional rules. Solitaire suitability is high, the solitaire scenario low for other scenarios. The time scale is variable, 1 turn equals 3 to 18 months. The map scale is abstract, point-to-point area map. Unit scale, individual leaders, 3 to 25 Spanish troops, up to several thousand Indian troops. Players 1 to 2, playing time is 3 hours for the basic game, 4 to 6 hours for the standard game. And what we get with this is 2 maps, each approximately 28 by 20 inches, 2 counter sheets of 5/8 of an inch, a deck of 130 strategy conquistador cards, a deck of 26 asset cards, a rule booklet, 4 player aid cards, 1 log sheet, 2 6-sided dice, and a box and a lid. STUKAJOE is back with the Battle of Blenheim 1704 with his Mechanics at Play segment with extended examples of play. This is a game designed by Stephen Pohl. The artists are Knut Grunitz, Randy Lane, and Mark Mahaffey. Published by Legion Wargames. The Chief, Bart Brunching, of Bonding with Board Games, has Dan Pancaldi of No Enemies Here for a live chat. GIMPY of the GIMPY's Gamers continuing Nations at War, Desert Heat, Learning the Game, Part 2. Nations at War, Desert Heat is designed by Sean Drulinger and Ralph Ferrari. The artist is Mark von Martial, published by Lock and Load. The Chief, Bart Brunching, of Bonding with Board Games, has Dan Pancaldi of No Enemies Here for a live chat. Alexander and Grant, the gentlemen of the Player's Aid, have a video entitled, So You've Played Twilight Struggle, What's Next? Grant does an unboxing of The War of the Worlds, England, from DVG. A game designed by Arnaud de la Siega, published by Dan Verson Games. Dave of the Centurions Review is unboxing Decision Games, First Saratoga, Burgoyne's Gambit. The 19th of September, 1777. Dave is also unboxing Assault on Sevastopol, von Manstein in the Crimea, 1942. This is a game designed by Adrian McGrath. The artist is Alan Emmerich, and the publisher is Victory Point Games. Also, the staff here at No Enemies Here wishes Dave and his new bride the best. You want to know what's happening on the big board? I'll tell you what's happening on the big board. Well, I hope to tell you what's happening on the big board. Kevin, CEO of the big board, I think he's playing Army Group Center. Turn 1, pre-combat, the EFS system. I hope it's that, Kevin. If not, I'm giving people the wrong news. It's your accent. I don't understand. Mo of Mo's Game Table is unstoppable with his unboxing. He unboxes mini World War II from Formosa Force Games. The designer is Wei Chang. The artist is Wei Chang and Zhijiang Huan Dongma. Published by Formosa Force Games. He also unboxes No Retreat, Polish and French fronts from GMT, designed by Karl the Wildman Paradzi, published by GMT. Wayne Hanson is doing his Let's Play segment, NATO Air Command, a tutorial, basic, and complete playthrough. This is a solitaire war game designed by Brad Smith and published by Hollenspiel. Academy Games, Uwe Eichert is talking about his Conflict of Heroes 3rd edition rule changes. The Military Board Gamer gives us his thoughts on resolving combat in Tunisia 2, Advanced Tobruk 2016, the 6th expansion. This is a game designed by Ray Tapio, published by Critical Hit. Games from the Front, Ty Snoofer does a playthrough of D-Day at Omaha Beach, a game designed by John Butterfield, published by Decision Games. Jeff the Mac McAleer from the Gaming Gang takes a first look at Axis and Allies and Zombies on the Daily Dope. This is a game designed by Scott Van Essen, Mike Merles, and Ryan Miller. The artist is Nate Van Dyke, published by Wizards of the Coast. Tim Korchnoi of Bare Bones Wargaming has a playthrough of Victory and Glory Napoleon Turns 1 and 2. This is a game designed by Glenn Drover. The artists are Paul Niemeyer, Jacoby O'Connor, and Keith Rocco, published by Electric Games. Counterproductive Games is checking out Army Painter Laserline gaming accessory and also doing an unboxing of Tanks, the modern age miniature tank game. Agusti Barrio Ruiz continues and completes his playthrough of Wing Leader, Victories 1940 to 1942, a game designed by Lee Brimicum Wood, published by GMT. This playthrough is in Spanish. MARCOWARGAMER gives you his review of Night Fighter Ace, Air Defense over Germany 1943 to 1944, a game designed by Gregory M. Smith. The artists are Newt Grunitz and Terry Leeds, published by Compass Games.
Ciao a tutti. What I'd like to talk about today is the relationship between war games and historical games in general and historiography, that is the vision and interpretation of historical events. Because, you know, there is a relation between games and simulations about historical events and academical writing about those events. That is because games in general are models, simulation games are models about reality, about history, when they are historical simulations, and so they must follow a certain vision of what happened during those days, exactly just like what the historians do when they write about an event. Let's make some example. Okay, here I have some games. You may have the Napoleonic 20 series or the Battles of the American Revolution series, which give emphasis to the army morale, or you can have the Jour de Gloire series with an emphasis about command and control of various formations and coordination. those are two interpretations about what happens during a battle. But you may also have broader games like Cruel Necessity, which is a very fine game about the English Civil War, in which you have to maintain a balance, you have to survive. The English Civil War, and victory comes if you maintain a good balance between military, political, and religious and economic issues. You can also have a more traditional game like The Great Battle for Germany from Jim Dunnigan, who else, with this unusual mechanic of the American and British on one side and the Germans on the other side, who are trying basically to obstacle each other, to hinder each other, controlling the German army, which stands directly opposite them. You can also, and speaking of World War II, you can also have The Great Churchill by Mark Herman, where the Allies have to cooperate together, but they are also in competition for winning the peace after the war. But they have to cooperate, because if they don't, the Axis wins. So nobody really wins. But also another game which has a very precise vision of the events. It tries to represent them very well, I think, is Liberty or Death, the American Insurrection, a coin game by Harold Buchanan and GMT Games. All those games have a specific vision of the event they represent, an event that you can play, exactly like this one. It is in Italian, but you may have recognized it. Is David G. Chandler, Campaigns of Napoleon. This is an history book, but all those games have their own vision of the events. Liberty or Death has a particular balance, which sees the Americans not really fighting the English, but the Indians. Churchill has the cooperation competition. Battle for Germany as Western and Eastern Allies actually fighting each other. Cruel Necessity we have seen, or even more tactical games. Each of those more tactical games gives a specific vision and gives a specific priority to one historical factor during a battle: command and control, or keeping up army morale. All those games follow, each of those games follow one precise interpretation of the event, just like history books follow one interpretation, one thesis about the events. This is really interesting because if you understand that, you understand even why we have so many games about the same event. Let's take the Vietnam War. You can have, you can play the Vietnam War with Hearts and Minds, which is a balance between political and military issues, or you can play more tactical games like 75 by Flying Pig and Mark Walker, or Bayonet, or you can play much more political games, much more comprehensive games like Fire in the Lake, another coin series title. Exactly like if you, well, let's take an example, the Market Garden Operation. You can read A Bridge Too Far by Cornelius Ryan, which has his thesis that the operation was a failure because the Allies didn't coordinate so well together. Or you can read It Never Snows in September by Kershaw, which says, well, the Allies lost because basically the Germans won. It was a German victory. The Germans were too good for the Allies at that point in the war. The same event, you see, a particular vision, a particular thesis, a particular historical interpretation of that event. And that is what happens with each of these games, because game designer make choices about order of battle, position of the troops, who was there, who fought a certain battle, and why. The dynamic of a military struggle, of a battle or a war, and the dynamics of, in general, of a conflict. What is more interesting for the game designer? Economic point of view, political, military, it's your choice. And the great fact is that you can study history, you can learn history exactly like when you read the different history books about the same event. You can play different games about the same event and see in particular one factor of this event, of the event you are playing. And that is one of the great and most interesting things about historical wargaming and learning history in an active and critical, I'd say, and analytical way. So that is all, and as always, goodbye. And as I say to my Italian followers, I say also to you, non abbiate paura, anzi, niente paura, sono solo war games. Don't be scared, it's just war games. Bye, ciao!
Bruce Garrick, the electronic warfare technician, is Wild Weasel, a podcast about wargames. Has a new podcast out, Wild Weasel 16. Check him out on SoundCloud. Harold Buchanan's podcast, Harold on Games, episode 14. Harold interviews the one, the only, Mark Herman on SoundCloud. Fat Dog, Friday after Thanksgiving Day of Gaming, will be happening November 23rd, 2018. Metatopia 2018, Thursday, November 1st to Sunday, November 4th, at the Hyatt Regency Morristown and Conference Center in Morristown, New Jersey. Compass Games Expo 2018, November 9th to November 12th at the Red Line Hotel in Cromwell, Connecticut. Thank you very much. I'll see you next week.